spring evening. Please let the record reflect that all board members are present. No announcements. Well, we're going to go, we're actually by announcements, we're going to go a little out of order this evening. We're going to do our recognitions before we get to the security discussion. Okay. Can I have an approval of minutes as contained in your backup? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay. So tonight's a big night. Tonight we do our annual recognition of our students who have participated in science Olympiads and science research, as well as to recognize our teachers and our nurses and our teacher of the year, as recognized by Senator Phil Boyle. So we're going to head up to the stage. How about we start with Beach Street this evening? Mr. Taylor, who is our Director of Science here, and Mrs. Miller is the advisor for Science Olympiad at Beach Street. So, come on up and enjoy it.
Good evening. Science Olympiad is an international nonprofit organization devoted to improving the quality of science education, increasing student interest in science, and providing recognition for outstanding achievement in science education for both students and teachers. These goals are accomplished through club activities, research, regional, state, and national tournaments. Science Olympiad tournaments are rigorous academic interscholastic competitions that consist of a series of team events which students prepare for during the year. These challenging motivational events are well balanced between various science disciplines of biology, earth science, chemistry, physics, and technology. There is also a balance between events requiring knowledge of science concepts, process skills, and science applications. One of the goals of the Science Olympiad is to elevate science education and learning to a level of enthusiasm and support that is normally reserved only for varsity sports programs. Ms. Ferruzzi, who is also one of the advisors for the Beach Street Science Olympiad, was hoping she could make it back. She's also a middle school lacrosse coach with Udall Road, and unfortunately she hasn't gotten back from Huntington yet. So Mrs. Miller, who is her co-advisor, is here to help me hand out certificates and medals. The Beach Street Science Olympiad team increased its enrollment this year, heading to competition with 2 groups. Even though there were many new students in the competition, we did very well. We entered several different events this year and had a great time learning some new material. The team worked hard and placed in the top 10 in many events. Battery buggy, dynamic planning, fast facts, herpetology, roller coaster, and write it, do it, all placed in the top 10. Fast facts and both teams for herpetology placed within the top 8 and medaled in those areas. Here's a list of the 2018 Beach Street Science Olympiad members. Some of the members could not be here today. So when we call your name, please come up and Ms. Miller will give you your certificate and or medal. Nicolette Nasile, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Gianna Brewer. Nathaniel Butler earned a medal for taking 5th place in herpetology. Ryan DeClue. Eugene Di Toronto, excuse me. Max Esposito earned a medal for taking 3rd place in Fast Facts. Thomas Fallon. Samantha Ishmael. Corinne Johnson. Julia Kennedy earned a medal for taking 8th place in herpetology. Caden Crewer. Cameron Lewandowski. Nolan Locke. Cole Mariano. Connor McNamee earned a medal for taking 8th place in herpetology. Connor Mushmore. Christopher Palazzo. Joseph Capone earned a medal for taking 5th place in herpetology. Paul Pelletieri earned a medal for taking 3rd place in fast fat. Joseph Pirapato. Alexander Procopio. Marcos Procopio. Alexander Romeo. David Seda. Thomas Dehaney. Marco Trena. And Michael Washington.
Mr. O'Farrell, do you want to join us in the picture? We can think. Oh, I didn't know you were ready. Yep. All right, O'Farrell, join us. So we need another vote right now. And you guys.
You still need to look forward, but kind of push your body in. I need certificates, facing forward, right side up, my scientist. Certificates up, please. Thanks. All right, let's see if we can do this. One more. Come on, guys, smile. Super.
Udall Science Olympiad team not only worked hard for many hours in preparation for the tournament, but also had fun working together and competing in this year's tournament at Hamilton Middle School. The team competed in 10 different categories ranging from technology events where they tested a tower and a roller coaster that they designed and built on their own, to earth science events where they tested their knowledge to identify various samples of rocks and minerals. The team did especially well in 3 challenging events: optics, roller coaster, and dynamic planning. Mrs. Mayo apologizes for not being here and would like to thank and congratulate the students for a job well done, and thank all of the parents for their support, especially Mr. G and Mr. Aguano, who were there to help the students pull everything together. Udall 6th grade students are on an overnight school field trip, so some of them are not here tonight, but they will be recognized when they return from the trip. The Udall team members are Jamie Carlson, Charlotte G, Jagger Langhorn, Mackenzie Whitaker, Mary Apollo, Skylar Brown, Timothy Hanschel, Vincent Monteroso, Logan Capola, Lewis Kenny, Jack Schaefer, Andrew Petrillo, and Francis Aguana.
And as Mr. Taylor pointed out, Mrs. Mayo couldn't be here tonight, but we also wanted to recognize her. She is retiring this year, and she has been very invested in the Science Olympiad program for many, many years at Udall Road Middle School. So we'd like to recognize her as well for the research she has.
And 19th way to do it. We frequently lose kids to all the different events and extracurriculars that we do. So we thank you for dedicating your time and hard work for the team. So we have Nicole Albergo. Stephen Akula. Anna Pizarri. And James Mina.
The research students that we are recognizing tonight have won various awards at the different competitions or symposia that we attended this year. Melody Dockendine could not be with us tonight, but she won an honorable mention in chemistry at the Long Island Science and Engineering JV Fair for her project titled Comparing the Effectiveness of Chemical Denitrification by Ferrous Iron Under Various Catalyst Phases. Congratulations to Melody. Madison is here tonight. Madison has been here from Mona. Maddie has been working at Brookhaven National Lab for the last 2 years. She's been working at the National Synchrotron Light Source, which is the brightest and most sophisticated microscope in the world. She's worked at several beamlines to analyze micrometeorites. Her project is ongoing. And she won 3rd place in chemistry at the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair JV Division. National Synchrotron Light Source and Center for Nanomaterials user meeting in a week and a half. And that is a meeting where all scientists around the world who use synchrotrons come to learn about what's going on in synchrotron science. So it's pretty impressive that she was invited to present at that meeting. Next, I'd like to invite up Luke Harris. Luke's project is affectionately known as the Whale Snot Project. He extracted DNA from killer whale mucus as a non-invasive alternative to the use of biopsy darts. Luke was a regional finalist at the Long Island Junior Science and Humanities Symposium. He won a grand award 2nd place in animal science at the New York State Science and Engineering Fair. He won an Environmental Conservation Award and 1st place in animal science at the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair, which qualified him to be an ISEF finalist. So on Saturday, we're traveling with the ISEF group to the International Science and Engineering Fair, where Luke will compete with students from over 50 different countries. And it is the largest and most impressive science fair for high school students. Shannon Lafferty and Nicolette Nigro. Shannon and Nicolette's project was microbiome analysis of water with different salinities on the south shore of Long Island. What was really impressive about their project was there was no protocol or procedure in any literature about how to extract bacteria from water to do DNA analysis. So they created their own. They worked with scientists at Cold Spring Harbor Lab, and they were semi-finalists at the Long Island Junior and Science Humanities Symposium. They were also participants in the National Microbiome Initiative, funded by the National Institutes of Health and Cold Spring Harbor Lab. And they've been an awesome duo for the last 3 years.
won a New York State Science and Engineering Fair Grand Award 3rd place in microbiology. They were also part of the National Microbiome Initiative funded by the National Institutes of Health. They will be winning an award at the Long Island Science Congress Award ceremony in a week and a half. We don't know yet what that award will be. But most impressive for this project and for these two is their project was essentially extracting this bacteria from the ducts of the mosquitoes and comparing them to see if they had any interaction with disease vectors. And unfortunately, they didn't have many samples because the grant only funded so much research. They could only compare 4 samples of each mosquito to each other. So their results are not quite definitive yet. They did analyze more DNA, but what really is impressive is that the originator of barcoding DNA, which is a new technique that scientists around the world are using to identify organisms, they worked with that scientist. So did Shannon and Nicolette. But that doctor specifically requested that they test a new protocol that he had developed to see if it would work. So that was pretty impressive that the scientist who developed this entire protocol for the world to use trusted them to then test his new procedure. And all of these students were also honored by our town supervisor at the Islip Town Board award ceremony for students in high school, and specifically they were recognized for their work in science. Congratulations, everyone.
Okay, may I invite Mr. Dixon and Mr. Wallace up to join us? This is National Teacher Recognition Week, and the research is clear. The most important element in a student's achievement is the teacher in front of the classroom. And as indicated by all the successful students that you have just seen, the influence of the teachers and the parents is really incomparable. So we appreciate all that you do and all that you do in that regard. And congratulations to all of the students. We here in West Islip are very fortunate to have a faculty that supports our students and their successes. So on behalf of the Board of Education and the West Islip School District, I would like to recognize our teachers for their tireless efforts on behalf of our students to help build the educational foundation of all West Islip children. Gil, would you like to do the honors? More or less.
Okay, well, I left my glasses on the table, so I'm afraid I'm beyond the point of the age of being able to read this without them. But to sum it up, the board, the district would like to recognize all the teachers of West Islip for the absolutely phenomenal job that they do day in and day out. Thank you all very much.
Our school nurses. As all of you know, nurses play a significant role in school communities, especially here in West Islip. They create a culture of health and wellness. Oftentimes they're coordinating the care for our children and assisting our parents in that regard, making sure that our kids are healthy, safe, and ready to learn. Our school nurses could not be here this evening, unfortunately. However, we would like to publicly acknowledge all of the amazing work that they do. How about a round of applause for us? And finally, know how much you love her. So each year, Senator Phil Boyle recognizes teachers throughout his legislative area at a Teacher of Excellence dinner, which was held on April 26th. This year, Elise Patty McDonald, who is lead teacher of the World Languages Department and a Spanish teacher here at the high school, and I would say Spanish teacher extraordinaire, was acknowledged for her commitment to her students and to her craft and her passion for teaching. Ms. Patty has created a wonderful legacy and left a lasting impression on her students. I thought you weren't going to be here this evening. I'm thrilled that you are. So on behalf of the Board of Education and the faculty, students, and staff here in West Islip, we're so proud of you for this acknowledgement. Congratulations.
I'd like to add something, a personal note, and I know that you won't be happy, but I'm going to do it anyway. Both of my kids have studied Spanish with Miss Patty, as they all call her. And, you know, we have a staff full of great teachers. We really do. We've seen some of the phenomenal work they've done here tonight. But this lady here just goes above and beyond all the time. Mrs. Burns alluded to it. She said that Miss Patty has a lasting, profound impact on our kids. I know it personally. Any of you that have ever had it know it, and we just could not be happier. Congratulations to all again.
Yeah, let's go back. It's like the same thing.
Mrs. Burns is going to make a brief presentation, kind of a summary of what we've been doing, or what we've done in the past, what we're still doing now, what we're thinking about doing in the future, and then we're going to open it up for comments. If you know that you're going to want to speak, please grab one of these cards and fill it out. And put it in right here. And who's first?
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. Thank you all for coming tonight. As a district, and excuse my back, conducive to this, we've been through some challenging financial times in the last decade. Through careful planning, some difficult choices, and an eye on the future, we have been able to reinstate almost all curricula and extracurricular activities and opportunities for our students, save for a few that are still on our radar. However, recent events in our world have challenged our idea of safety and left people feeling vulnerable and fearful, even as they send their children off to school each day. We recognize that. Over the last few years, we've become increasingly aware of the need to not only evaluate our security measures, but perhaps even more importantly, to ensure that we are providing enough support to ensure the social emotional development of our students. Tonight, the Board of Education will welcome your feedback to address any of your questions, and what you ask and what you tell us will inform decisions that are made as we plan for the upcoming school year and beyond. Each year, as I mentioned, we reflect on our curricular and extracurricular offerings, the value and effectiveness of our intervention services, the effectiveness of our policies and procedures, and the security of our facilities, and we do make adjustments as necessary. Our awareness is heightened of the need to be proactive in security and safety regards, and that brings us here this evening to discuss protocols that have been put in place and initiatives that may need to be considered for future implementation. I'm sure you recall that in 2012 we closed 2 elementary buildings and made some very painful decisions that impacted curriculum, instruction, the maintenance of our buildings and grounds. We reverted to an 8-period day at the middle school level, and we cut deeply into our clubs, intramurals, and other extracurricular activities. Since that time, however, we have restored and even expanded upon our offerings, increasing support for students in a variety of ways. And some of those ways are delineated here on the slide. In the current school year, we made some changes that promote a positive learning environment for students, and the Health and Wellness Alliance hosted myriad community activities that were very well attended and enabled our district staff to partner with parents and other members of our community in support of our kids. For the upcoming school year, 2018 and 19 and beyond, our budget supports additional personnel in areas that encourage social emotional development, giving students the tools and encouragement they need to make good choices for a healthy lifestyle, physically, socially, emotionally, and behaviorally. In addition to the programs that have been implemented as they relate to giving children what they need to live in this 21st century world, a close review of our security protocols has taken place so as to ensure a safe and secure learning environment. Since 2014, many changes have taken place that have enhanced the security of our facilities, and we continually strive to improve upon what we are doing. District administrators, security, and staff members have participated in exercises to practice and implement emergency drills. We're required by law to practice 12 a year. These enable our staff to review procedures to improve upon our ability to respond and perform in a time of crisis. The district emergency response plan, which is posted on the district website, and each building throughout the district has an emergency response plan that has been shared with the state and local law enforcement authorities. They keep those plans both in a digital, depending on the authority, they keep the plans in a digital nature, and our 3rd precinct here in Suffolk County has hard copies of all of our building plans and the district plan. The district plan is for your perusal. Anybody can access it. However, the building plans are confidential, and anyone anyone that is privy to that information may not share that plan with members of the community for reasons, of course, I'm sure you understand, just in order to ensure the safety and security of the kids in the buildings. The plans include information relating to weather-related emergencies, intruders, fire, bomb threats, and other serious incidents. The Safety Committee of the Board of Education has explored measures that can be taken to safeguard our schools and our grounds. Decisions may not always be popular, such as that related to gate access, but they are always made in the best interest of our students and staff. I cannot stress enough how important it is that our community members stay alert, and if they see something, they say something. A perfect example of this is a concern that was brought to my attention late last week regarding the playground at Cool J. Blue and its proximity to Higby Lane. Now, we know of its proximity, of course, but it had very little privacy there, and you know our kids play out there on recess every day. So at Tuesday night's Buildings and Grounds meeting, the board committee agreed to install privacy slats on that fence. And I know a number of you have reached out for that, so that is going to be addressed shortly. We've made much progress in the past year, but we do still have work to do. The plans for security vestibules at all elementary and middle schools have been approved by the Building and Grounds Committee, and the next step is State Education Department approval. Unfortunately, that approval process can take up to 43 weeks, and we are at the mercy of the state. Nonetheless, we move forward in other areas. The high school plans should be up sometime before the end of the year. They are about a year behind the elementary and middle school, but we do have other initiatives in the works for the high school. When students return to school in September, we anticipate that additional badge readers will have been installed. That's what these things that you see all of our employees carry around their necks. That will minimize the need for exterior keys that are so easily lost. Additionally, various doors at the high school and other locations will be outfitted with door contact switches to discourage people from propping doors open. And in the event they do, the camera surveillance system will identify those doors, and whoever maintaining that camera system, surveilling that system at the time, will receive an alert. So we will know when the doors are open and they shouldn't be. The safety of our students and staff and the security of our facilities has always been and will always be one of our top priorities. Many measures have been taken to respond to the environment in which we live, and there are others that will be considered. Many districts have gone to a closed campus, and I think it's time that we at least have that discussion. We are exploring reporting apps for phones, but they must be chosen carefully, as I'm learning that the devil of those apps is in the details. Over the last few months, our community members have shared their interest in assigning armed guards to our schools, and some have shared their aversion to such, and that too must be carefully vetted before a decision is made. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I encourage you to share your concerns and suggestions, and if anyone would like to, as Mr. Geller points out, fill out a card. You simply would drop it off with Mrs. Hock, our district clerk, and you're welcome to join us at the podium. Mr. Geller?
So as I've mentioned in previous meetings, I've kind of been going around to some of the PTA meetings and talking about some of this, what we've been doing and trying to gauge people's viewpoints on these various issues. And at the last meeting, I asked for input, and a whole bunch of people emailed us, which was great, but we certainly recognize that this is a major concern, as it should be, and so, that was the impetus for getting together tonight. So hopefully, many of you will share with us this evening. So to begin, Jim Clark.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jim Clark. I'm here tonight. I have a written statement, but I figured I'd read it to you so it seems appropriate. I'm here tonight as a father of 2 children in this district to express my strong support for armed guards in our schools. While the probability of a school shooting occurring in one of our schools seems remote, I believe the magnitude of such an outcome warrants these measures. My position on the issue is not governed by what we see in the news media or by the arguments put forth by various political organizations or by how our students might feel about having armed guards in their schools. Those things are fleeting, momentary, and misinformed at best. The issue is governed by something much deeper than that. There's a place that none of us want to go, but it's somewhere that we need to go. If not in reality, then in our minds to find clarity on the issue. That place is right here, the day we've had a mass shooting in the school. Some deranged individual hell-bent on causing harm has breached our existing security measures and taken the lives of some of our kids. We need to go there seriously and truthfully to consider how we feel in that moment, and more specifically when we start thinking through all the ways we could have protected those kids. In that moment, it becomes crystal clear. Having armed guards makes sense. It might not be a foolproof measure, there's never any guarantees, but with armed guards, I like our chances better than the alternative. I get the opposition to this. I understand that kids don't want to go to school in a place they feel threatened, where they're on lockdown like a prison. I understand that, and I love all those kids, every single one of them. They represent hope, they're the future pillars of this community, and in my opinion, they're our most precious resource. I'm an attorney with a local practice, and so I'm in court a lot. And I see how we have armed guards in our courts to protect our judges and our judicial system. We have armed guards in our banks to protect our money. Here we're considering the protection of something far more valuable than any of that, our kids. I don't know about you, but if I was standing over the body of one of our kids shot dead, there's no amount of money that I wouldn't give in that moment to have them back. To the kids who would feel threatened by having armed guards in the school, I would take the opportunity to have that be a lesson and a reminder. It's a reminder that the world outside these walls is dangerous and has plenty of bad guys who would do them harm if they have the chance. I hope to God that one day that's not the case, but for now that's the world we live in. And the sooner our kids realize that, the better off and safer they'll be. There are bad guys out there who would do harm, and the only thing separating them from you are walls, locks, and guys with weapons standing guard. That's reality. We need to accept it. We need to be truthful to our kids about that. We need to make them better so they can deal with that. And for now, we need to do everything in our power to protect them from that. I appreciate the board for providing this opportunity for me to express my position here. I'm grateful for the way in which each and every one of you are giving proper deference to the gravity of this matter. And I strongly encourage you to employ armed guards in our school. I'd like to just give this written statement to whoever wants to get it.
I want to ask you a question. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Clark. One of the things that we've been talking about in terms of armed guards is whether we're going to maybe place inside or outside of the building. And certainly we have some, reasons why we might think that outside is better. And I certainly defer to Mr. Zotto or Mr. Brady on this, but just wondering, you actually referenced inside, of course, but I'm just wondering if you have a specific preference if you considered that.
I have considered that, and I think that either or both. I think inside is critical because, like what we saw recently in Florida, there was an armed guard stationed outside of school. And when the moment came, you can't really train for that moment, but it came. And fight or flight, he chose flight. If he was inside that school and there were bullets coming at him, there's no choice. And maybe some of those kids would have been saved. So that's my position.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Stacy Bresci?
I spoke last month, and I just want to thank you for all the emails and Facebook about asking for community input, and I think it's very important. I've been sharing all your messages, and I hope that more people would come, but a lot of people just don't want to speak. They had reached out and they said that they, I don't know why, but they don't want to speak in front of people. So I just want to reiterate what I spoke about last month, because the safety of our children, obviously, is of utmost importance. The active trainer, the active shooter training that I went to that you were going to have with the district talked all about buying time. The most important thing they said was buying time. In fact, it mentioned that even 5 seconds can save numerous lives, and many times the incident is actually over by the time the cops arrive. Therefore, I believe it's absolutely essential to hire highly qualified armed guards in our district. Every second taken off the intruders' clock is that saves lives. If we don't have to wait for the cops to arrive and we can respond quickly, it can be over more quickly. Hopefully, we can save lives. In addition, it's stated that, although we might say it never happened here, that the intruder usually has some type of affiliation to the school, and as you'll see when you have the training, that often happens at the high school level. Also, that I wanted to mention that sometimes if you have the cops there and you can't get there in time, as we said, nothing to do with Suffolk County Police Department, my son is a Nassau County cop, but they have when you have lockdown, their badges can actually open your doors. So does our Suffolk County cops have those badges?
They have access to the buildings in their cars, yes. And they also have floor plans of all our buildings uploaded. You may have heard that recently they all got, I guess, some kind of tablet in their cars, and they have our floor plans as well.
So they can always get in. Also, I'm in favor, since you brought it up on the email, of having closed campus. Unfortunately now, I think this is too much for parents to worry about. Just last week, it was on Facebook that somebody went out to lunch and I approached them, 2 girls, and asked them to stay in the ride. I feel as a mom, when my children are with you in school, they're supposed to be safe, and I shouldn't have to be worrying about where they are, if they're coming back, if they're being, approached by people that they shouldn't be. And I think if we have also the armed guards inside and outside, we'll also be beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura McCarthy.
Hello, Laura McCarthy, 56 Madison Street. I apologize for going off topic. I just had a question regarding the rollout of the new K-2 math program that was introduced at last month's meeting. I was wondering about the reasoning behind it and whether or not it's being considered to continue for 3 to 5. I have a kindergartner in Openak who started with the Go Math program, who will now be switching to the Singapore Math for next year. Now I have a new kindergartner coming in who will start with Singapore Math. So I'm just wondering the reasoning behind the new program. Is there gaps that are being filled, and how they're going to bridge the gap from program to program?
Okay, so yes, we actually, it was initiated by looking at how our students were performing after a curriculum review, and we were finding that not only were there some gaps in the program that we were trying to rectify in other ways, especially at grades 3, 4, and 5. For instance, the fraction, we had to put in a fraction module, and it was like 2 different styles of teaching. So what we did is we did a review of different programs. It's through the Elementary Curriculum Council. It's made up of teachers and administrators. They reviewed the programs, looked to see what our current performance is, and felt that this would be the best program that we could in order to meet the needs of our students. Now we're starting it off in K2. We have a fully developed implementation plan for the teachers to be trained on it. And then what we're going to do is also have that curriculum, a crosswalk, if you will, so that we're making sure that there aren't any gaps as students go through that new program. With that being said, we always do program reviews. We think that this will be something that we will transition into the upper grade levels, but we're reserving that decision after we go through the same process with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers.
Okay, so I just have as an educator in a neighboring district, and I know that we've switched programs many times. So as a teacher, it's difficult to, the training that we have sometimes happens in September or October when we've already had to have begun the program. So I'm just kind of concerned that, you know, teachers are very overwhelmed, obviously, in September, kids are adjusting, teachers are adjusting, that has enough planning got into place to implement the new program and bridge those gaps. Not saying that, you know, taking discrediting the program, just wondering.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, one of the things is that not only do we go through a committee process too, but then there's an open forum where we ask for all our teachers to come and review the materials. So I think, you know, the first step, it's almost like a grassroots, you know, endorsement of the program is that there's certainly the desire for that and recognizing that there are some gaps in that area. So when we talk about the implementation plan, we're utilizing, you know, 2 superintendent's conference days before school starts. Those teachers in K-1-2 will get a full day of training. Then we have another day in September, another day in October, and then we also have a follow-up in after the school year as well. So we're going to be doing a mixture of, they get, you know, the program, it's rolling out, and then going in as well with our math specialists who will be doing in coaching in the classroom.
Okay, when will they decide for the 3 to 5? After a process and after they've had it?
Yeah, the same process. I mean, we want to make sure that we're making the best decision for our students. You know, I will, like I mentioned before, we've been phasing and looking to see there. We found that fractions was lacking in all the grade levels, so that they were using the modules for that piece, and then listening to the concerns that went along with that. So it certainly is an option. I'm not saying it's a definite decision, but we do that in consultation with our teachers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else have it? Go ahead. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on the security issue? Please state your, do you have a card or just state your name and address?
It's me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, last month when I came to the meeting, I spoke about 2 things. One was security, and I just want to say the gentleman who spoke was amazing. So I think you should be a spokesperson for the district. I don't know who you were, but it was really well. The other thing I want to just mention, I know you all have had the dogs, which I think is wonderful. You know, the police dogs around the building. And I think that'd be awesome if we have a pet dog. They can stay with the officer who's armed all the time, so they can do the drugs, and the police officer can do the armed part, which would be really awesome. We can save them off of drugs. Seriously though, the other concern that I had was, I know a lot of people who don't believe in armed cars, and a lot of people are very afraid of guns. And part of the problem with that is, including myself, we don't know a lot about guns, because New York is one of the states who doesn't educate, and that's part of the problem. My sister-in-law lives in Arizona. My brother went there when he was in college, and their whole culture is completely different. So the reality is that the guns aren't bad. The people who use the guns are bad. And unfortunately, I'm sympathetic to people in New York because we don't really understand that. So my suggestion is that if you're going to go with armed guards, which I really hope you do, because we have a matter of seconds to save lives as we're being litigated, my suggestion would be maybe to have the police department come and do an assembly for the students, possibly the parents as well, and explain to children and parents that the people who have are highly qualified, highly trained, very experienced, past psychology and emotional tests, all the things we all worry about, the media is expressing. But seriously, I think that if children understand that nobody wants anyone to die, nobody wants to kill anybody. However, when it becomes a self-defense issue, there's really no other choice. And I just want to end by saying that last month I talked about belief in God and how our country was formed on the Judeo-Christian values of religion, of God. And if you look at the media, it's very scary where we're going with God, because honestly, you may or may not believe, I know most of you all believe, but whether you believe or not, I'm pretty certain my life would be a lot more, a lot worse without God than with God. And I know we can't pray in school, but I wish we could find some way. I told you last month, perhaps on your own you can pray, and I'm sure you do. But I think that the kids who are so lost have little hope and no higher authority to look up to, which most of us feel very up. So whatever you can do in your area of expertise as far as leaders in community, education, I'm very concerned about the people who want to survive in our society and our country. We're seeing in the news the last week on the dollar bill, they're trying to bring that issue again, taking God off our money. So whatever authority power you have, I strongly suggest that we don't try to take more out of our schools. I'm trying to find this great poem that one of my aunts had sent me, and when I find it, she's looking for her deleted emails, the last couple of weeks. She sent me this wonderful, wonderful poem on an educator who used to have God in schools. I always love that. Who used to have God in schools. I'm going to wrap it up just like this Keller comes. Used to have God in schools, and now she's teaching years later without God in schools. And it's an amazing poem explaining the difference that she's seen. But
Okay, moving on.
Thank you. Mrs. Bonsky.
I'm Siobhan Blonsky. This coming school year will actually have a student in elementary school, middle school, high school, and a husband who teaches at the high school. So security is kind of near and dear to my heart and home. Personally, I'm against having an armed guard in the school. I feel like all the research that I have read, found, shows that it really does improve the safety of the school and can cause more instances of violent occurrences at the school with the research I found. And my personal concern, while I love how our buildings are open for our community, and as a member of the PTA and Girl Scouts and everything, we're always in the buildings. My concern is when school ends, there's no security guards in our schools. And to me, that incidence would be a much more efficient use of money, to have a security guard there during that time frame, than to have an armed security guard on the exterior of the building or the interior of the building, which to me is a terrifying idea as an elementary school parent, to have a gun in a school with 5 and 6 year olds. It just sounds like a terrible, terrible idea.
So, we want to be clear. Okay. So you also object to an armed guard outside the building?
I do. I personally, I understand the logic behind it, and I think everybody that spoke tonight about it spoke beautifully about it, and I understand their point of view. But from my point of view, and the gentleman referenced Parkland, there was an armed guard there, and it did nothing to help those poor children. And to me, it's an example of how it doesn't help. And I feel like there's a more efficient way to spend the money, because clearly it's going to cost money to do that. And everything does cost money. And having around-the-clock security, which I'm very happy that we now have somebody monitoring the cameras around the clock, but to have more security throughout the night, especially when we've got events in and out of the building, because to me that seems like the incidence where something could possibly occur. Somebody could get into that building. Because if there's an event, the doors are open, and you can walk in. And as a past PTA president, as being involved in all the PTA events, I know I walk in and out of that building, and nobody will see me at times coming in and out. And if there were a security guard there, they would know I was there. Not that I'm not harming anybody, but somebody else may not be.
And I do want to reassure you, we constantly do look at that, reevaluate it. I think you know from the event that the PTA had sponsored the grant day award the other day. As soon as we found out about it, we did respond by making sure that there was a security guard available. We have recently extended the hours of some of our guards at the high school so that they are there earlier in the morning when we know that people are arriving to extra help and what have you. So when we see that there is an issue, we are trying to target it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blonsky,
Yes.
do you worry about someone who's an unarmed guard, being approached by someone with an armed guard? I mean, we talk about this all the time. If someone does approach the school district, I mean, that's my worry. I'm all for having someone on the outside, possibly on the inside as well. But Parkwood was not a good example because it was a disaster from the start. This person was on the radar. He was bullied. Kids knew that if anyone was going to do this, it was going to be this kid. So there was a lot of drop balls right there. The cavalry came in after this other person, this other police officer cowered with other members of the service, members of his department. So I worry about that. I worry about, okay, we have these security guards, and we've been talking about it since I've been on the board. We definitely addressed it. We have more security guards. We have more people in place. We have cameras. You know, we're doing a lot, you know, and we're being very progressive here. You know, but do we take that step? I think we should take that step and have armed guards. And I know you're dead against it because we talk about metal detectors in the school. You know, the kids, they're going to see metal detectors, it brings up anxiety for these kids that are coming in, like what world are we living in? But unfortunately, this is the world we're living in. You know, my old partner used to say on the police department, social media was going to be a disaster for all of us. Once we started typing and going on the computers, it was like, it's just, there's so many things that affect the children of today. You know, and the parents need to be more involved. The students need to be more involved. There's always precursors. Nothing happens in a vacuum, you know, with these shootings. You know, there's signs, there's signals, and that happened with this maniac in Parkville. You know, a lot of drop balls again.
I agree, there's definitely a lot of drop ball.
Yep.
And I actually feel like our district is very progressive in that area of the social and emotional being of our students, with including social workers and trying to come at it from all angles. I'm not afraid of guns. I'm not anti-gun in any way, shape, or form. I just feel like guns have a place, and with properly trained people, they're perfectly fine. My concern with the guns in the schools is having a physical gun in a school building with these children. An external armed guard, it doesn't make me comfortable, but I can see how it would make other people.
Well, and you just said it right. I mean, it's properly trained. I mean, you have to have a properly trained
Without
guard. And I know a lot of schools are jumping on the bandwagon here. And I know from being in law enforcement for 22 years, Homeland Security, owning my own security company now, people have to be trained. And I know what the training is. I know what the training is. I know how it's done, how it's kind of circumvented, and people get training, and it has to be they have to be trained the right way, because even now, I'm always like this, okay? I have my gun, you're always cognizant. So God forbid somebody leaves a gun in the bathroom, God forbid. You know what I'm saying? Are security able to use the facilities, or are they going to walk around in the school and just make sure, you know, I'm all for outside right now. I guess we could take a look on the inside, and then what kind of training that they do have. Are the security guards going to use these facilities, bathrooms, whatever? No, I don't want them to use the facilities. You walk in, you do a sweep of the school, you stay outside. God forbid something happens, you know, we're going to build a fortress on the outside. You know, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, as Mr. Zotto is, you know, alluding to, the only thing we're considering is highly trained, certified, former police officers that, you know, would be dealing with. So.
My instinct initially, when this discussion started coming up, my instinct was, as a teacher, as mom, as guns in school, no way, we're not doing that. However, I'm more of like what the gentleman first gentleman said about, you know, what if? And, you know, looking back, and what if? And did we do everything that we could have done? And so that fights against my original instinct, and, you know, I just think, you know, we really need to take a hard look at it and really consider it because of that what if.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lipinski?
And my basic concern is open campus, closed campus. I was a little taken aback finding out when I received the email about this meeting that the gates will be unlocked. The entrances back by Everdale and Marbury. But I was then notified, and it was my daughter, that she was in the high school during school hours, and those gates will be unlocked. And if there was an emergency inside this building, and they were evacuated for whatever reason, and somebody started shooting at them, her instincts would have been, if she's in the back of the building, to head for those gates. And she would have never known that they were locked, and nor would I. You know, I work in a school. I don't want to be locked in on the grounds. I
I work in a school where weapons are brought into school. Do I want to be locked on the school if something goes down and I have one way out and I have to wait for one person to start unlocking gates? I don't think so. My job is to protect the children, but let's face it, when we're under that kind of pressure, and I went to a program with my school. It was supported by Suffolk County Police Officer. It was called Sneak Attack. And they're starting to train, this is what we were told, to run, hide, and fight. And these predators, or whatever you want to call them, they're one step ahead of us. They figure out how to, if we can figure out what they're going to do, then we can meet them, but obviously we can't. So they're going to figure out how to get the children out of the school. So if we have a closed campus, all the gates are locked, and there's only one road out of here, do you think that, I mean, no offense, but my daughter is going to be able to get over a stockade fence, a chain link fence, 6 foot or 8 foot, or wait for somebody to unlock the gate, or run around the front of the building to Lion's path? So I don't totally agree upon locking gates and keeping them contained. We also have to be in reality. This is life. You have 17, 18-year-olds, I understand. I've been hearing a little bit of no early release, yes early release. You know, I have a child who's been working towards early release. She wants to go start a job. She works 2 jobs, but she wants to start a job earlier. Now, if you're keeping her here until dismissal time, she can't pick up extra shifts. You know, there's all different types of pros and cons, but I also believe that we can't foolproof everything. We can't contain and keep kids closed in all day long and have volunteers running on guards or have gates locked. I work in a school district. I don't want to go into work at the end of those conditions, and I'm telling you, I've been in situations where weapons are brought in. I was in a lockdown, and we didn't know why we were called into a lockdown. And it was a misunderstanding, but it's scary. And I'm not saying it's not, but I don't want to be trapped. If I have a way to get out of there, I'm getting out of there. And that's what it's done to train. This is what my understanding was, the training I went for. Suffolk County Police on trainings, run, fight, and hide. But if you have them locked on in school, how are we ever going to get off?
So, Mrs. Lashinsky, that's certainly something that within our protocols within the district, we need to, and we do, know what our alternative locations are. And that is a confidential matter for the people that need to know within the building.
Right, but what about that?
But that being said, one of the reasons that we went to a lockdown system as far as the pedestrian gates go surrounding the campuses is that we were getting a lot of people on our campuses from outside with the community members or otherwise, while our children were using our school facilities, be it recess time, our playgrounds, we have our phys ed classes outside during the nice weather. So we felt that there was more of a likelihood that somebody would gain access during the school day that should not have access and interact potentially with one or more of our students than the opposite. Of course, we try to plan for every eventuality, and we know in this life there's no certainty, but certainly that was the rationale behind it. I will follow up tomorrow to ensure that all of our staffs and all of our buildings are aware of what gates are open and what gates are closed on a regular basis.
My other concern is when I drop my daughter off in the morning, she's a walker. These security guards, instead of monitoring the walking path every day over there, we all know that there's kids out there doing things that should not be, and because they're off of school property, it's not addressed by school. And, the security guard, instead of crossing students in the back, and he's in his car, on his phone one day, looking through the papers the next day. So we're trying to be so secure and on guard. Well, why aren't we using our security guards right now to the highest potential? Why is he sitting in his car? Numbers of times I've gone by and they're sleeping. I've lived here for 32 years. This is my 4th trial coming through this high school. So I've seen it, I lived it, and like I said, you can't live in fear.
I will follow up on that.
Yeah.
To respond to your other question about the early release,
Yes.
if your daughter has a job, she will be able to have early release. Students who have jobs or are serving in internships or other learning opportunities will certainly be able to have that put into their schedule. That was never taken away.
But then if the gate's locked, she can't get home.
No, the gates are open at 12:30 in the back.
At 12:30 they can stay there?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of rumors going on.
Truthfully,
Kids are
we've seen
feeling-
complaints about them being open to the public. So-
And the kids are getting intense about it too, because they're hearing all different, like, this is the first I've heard when I received an email of what was going on. And safety is the number one thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. So in my travels of talking about security and what we're doing and trying to gather information, I have told many people that I've been approached by students who are extremely concerned and have shared their opinion with me personally. And without further ado, I introduce my friend Sean McBride. I've had a little background. I've had the pleasure of coaching Sean in basketball for a long time, and I think every game this year he started the conversation with, "Coach, we got to get on guards. Coach, we need guards." Good turn.
Well, Leslie is a high school senior. I don't have that much time left in the high school. That doesn't mean I don't care about the safety of my fellow students. I believe school uniforms will go a long way to improve the safety of the high school. Not only do I feel that anyone can walk into the building at the entry and during the exit of the school day, I feel a school uniform would go a long way to identifying those intruders. If everyone dresses the same, someone who isn't supposed to be there doesn't have a uniform is going to stick out like a sore thumb. They're not going to be able to have, they're not going to be able to get into the building as easily.
I like it.
Some people express feelings that armed guards make them uncomfortable, but I, for one, as a student of the high school, will feel a lot safer going to school and knowing that I'm protected by an armed guard. Not only does response time for police take minutes, an armed guard on campus will be there at the second of the crisis. Going to school every day, I shouldn't have to feel nervous that someone is going to shoot up the school. With an armed guard, I feel a lot safer. Also, the security guards at high school, they seem more concerned about reading their newspapers. That's a very serious concern of mine. They're always on their phone, reading the newspaper, sitting down. Kids walk all around the high school. No one says a word. The security is a big concern. That's why I'm doing it for my project. And I've done a lot of research in that our school safety is not where it should be. It's not up to our standards, and I shouldn't feel nervous every day going to school.
I'd like to ask one question. How do you feel about armed guards just outside or inside the care?
I would not care. As long as they're there, as long as we get armed guards on the school campus, I'll be happy. I don't mind if they're in the school or outside of the school. Just the fact that they're there as a deterrent to a school shooter, I feel would go a long way. I would feel very comfortable both inside and outside the school.
One more question, as a student perspective. When they're talking about the gates that are locked throughout the day and stuff, how do you feel about that?
The gates, I mean, I feel like if there was an emergency, I feel like there's definitely many routes a student can take to get away from the building. I feel lock gate does go a long way to keep people who shouldn't be on the campus from getting into the campus. So I really don't have a problem with the lock gates whatsoever.
Thanks, Sean.
Did somebody just come out? Did
Do you want to talk about security?
Yeah.
Oh, please, come on. By the way, Sean is an excellent inside scorer in basketball.
Islip High School. And as I'm looking, like, as the PowerPoint and everything, I think there needs to be a list of things that need to become a priority. I think armed security guards is a very, like, last resort, like nothing else would work, and they're still getting threats. Because armed security guards, it is a danger to school and does cause kids a lot of anxiety. Like, I know myself, like, guns make me nervous. I don't care who has them, even when I see them in the airport and see military people have them, they make me nervous. They're scary. You never know what can happen, malfunction, whatever. And I know people become trained and everything, but it's still a scary fact for people who have never been around guns, no matter who has them. With the closed campus, I feel like everything is so close in West Islip. Someone can run home so quickly, say they have gun at home, no parents at home, they know the combination. Come home, get it, come back to school in 20 minutes. And they can get in with their senior passes, someone can let them in if they're underclassmen. Our school is so easily to get in and out of, and it's terrifying. I take Super English at the high school, and we did a project where we went around the school and looked at the security. We have many cameras, but they're all spread out and don't really cover like necessary places. There are so many easy ways for people to come in and out of school, even if the doors are locked. Someone can let them in, they can break a window. It's so easy to get into. It's absolutely terrifying. So I think inside the school security needs to change with changing the windows, different doors, everyone needs to have a pass, like everything like that. And then, you know, like metal detectors, I understand it makes kids nervous, but it's a first step to not having armed guards, but to start adding more security to something.
Can I ask you, how did you feel about the suggestion for the uniforms?
I think if a school shooting, okay, if a school shooting was to happen, I believe it's going to be a student. It's either a student that has been expelled or just a student in the school. They're going to have a uniform. It's not going to matter. I think uniforms, like for a dress code, like whatever, everyone wears the same thing. For as a uniform though, but to keep like people contained or all the same, I don't think you'll be able to pick out, oh, this kid's a school shooter, like whatever, like, because everyone's going to be dressed the same. It doesn't mean, you know, one kid's not fighting you like in his backpack and a block or anything like that.
Sarah?
Yeah.
So I just want to comment on two things that you mentioned. You mentioned the gaps in the camera coverage, and I want you to know that we recently did an analysis. We have a security office that is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we asked the gentleman that covers that to provide us with a list of areas where there were gaps in camera coverage, and I now have that list. Okay, so that's something that we're certainly looking at. Just one more piece to the puzzle, but it's a very big puzzle, as you know. And the other thing is tonight, I'm going to be recommending for the approval of a gentleman to be the lead guard at the high school, which should supply, I think, some more cohesiveness, so we have a better sense of responsibility and implementation. So, and you guys will know who to go to in the event of something transpiring.
I know with some of the other high schools, I don't know if it's on Long Island, all their cameras go straightly to the police department and they're watched by them. It's not like 24/7 like watch, but like if God forbid they need to know where someone is or if something happened, they know exactly where to look.
Right, so the Suffolk County Police Department does not provide that service, but what they do provide and what we are going to participate in once it's fully operational is what's called Project Share, which means if, God forbid, there was an incident at our high school, by the click of a single button, we would be able to transfer the ability for the Suffolk County Police Department to view all of our cameras by the click of a button. So they wouldn't need to see it, for example, on a day like, here, but if something were to happen, it would immediately go to them and they'd be able to get into our feed.
So they'd be seeing what's going on in the school before they...
In real time.
In real time, before they even got to the property.
So we're just waiting on some logistical things, and I guess as it relates to Suffolk County, and once that happens, we'll be signing on board as well.
And you certainly raised some really valid points about what goes on in the building, and it's something that we've been discussing a great deal. We do have a safety and security committee that meets monthly, and we're meeting next week, which it's all the building principals and the central administration, a couple of board members, myself, Mr. Brady, Mr. Zotto. If anybody doesn't know, both Mr. Brady, Mr. Bossi, Mr. Nicolosi. Anybody doesn't know, both Mr. Brady and Mr. Zotto are retired police officers. So this has been a regular topic of conversation. So, thank you.
And then also about the gates, which one is open at 12:30? Because I leave school after 8 period, so it's like 1:23, and the only way to go out is on Lions Path, and I'm telling you that no one knows how to drive, so going over the speed bumps and going down Lions Path with parents coming to get their kids in, like us leaving, it's a lot. If the Everdell one was open, like they
The
did.
Everett one is open at 12:30 every day. I'll check on that tomorrow.
I've never had that open. I think.
Yeah, we adjusted that, I'd say, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I will check on that tomorrow.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on security?
I just have one more thing to throw out to the community that we're here talking about security. We're talking about a lot of defensive actions and being proactive about that. The other side of it is really to start the discussion on mental health in our schools, on our social work, with our guidance counselors, and open up that conversation with our students to work on that side of it, which clearly is the other piece of this puzzle. So let's not forget about that. We still need to administer to that side of the student body to have those discussions.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Steve Morgan. I have a daughter who's in high school. I just want to make a couple of quick points. I think that there's an inclination to come up with a quick and uncomplicated solution to some of these problems. So I'm not convinced that just let's get some guys with guns will solve the problem. So I think we can employ more creativity in order to approach this issue. The first, and I think somebody's mentioned along the line, is K-9 units. It seems to me that if someone is motivated enough to bring a weapon into a school, they are not going to be particularly intimidated by a security guard, even an armed one. What they will be intimidated by is 125 pounds of German Shepherd. I think those animals and the people who monitor them are extremely well trained, and it can be a very effective means of deterring a shooting. Number two, the issue with armed guards, as has been brought up on a couple of occasions, is really the level of training. Because the reality is, if it's one day out of 1,000 that they actively have to deter a shooter, they're going to get lazy. And so if we institute armed guards in the school, we have to be very, very sure that they are extremely well trained and motivated to not become lethargic in what they do. Another possible option, if they are, assuming they are well trained, is to, my concern is that even with a trained armed guard, if shooting starts, somebody who shouldn't be hurt is going to be hurt. Therefore, there may be an opportunity to give armed guards non-lethal ammunition that can be just as effective in stopping somebody in their tracks, but will not kill either the shooter, obviously, is a potential victim, but it may reduce the possibility that collateral damage will occur. So I think in closing, we do have to understand that there is no simple solution, and we also have to accept the fact that any way you approach this, people are going to be inconvenienced. So I think that both the community and the people who are legislating that community need to come to a compromise in how we approach this problem. And I think that we have to approach it in a creative way and not just a simple way. Thank you.
Thank you. What type of non-lethal weapons are you talking about? Did you do any research on that?
It may not be a question of a non-lethal weapon so much as non-lethal ammunition.
Well, that would,
Right, I mean, it could
it's
be
one and the
simple.
same, basically.
Yeah, it could be as simple as rubber bullets or mercy bullets, or, I'm not on the cutting edge of technological warfare, but I'm sure that there are options out there.
Just also, I hope everyone realizes that this is not something that we were looking to just, let's snap our fingers and make everybody happy. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. I think there are some people that said, well, you guys are really dragging your feet on this option. So there are other schools on Long Island that have done this where they've hired some armed guards. These are also a few of the districts that already had contracted out security. We have a different system here, right? We don't have quite the same budget as some other schools have. But it was a little bit easier for them to say, okay, and bring in some people and interview particular people from that contracted company, and then pick a couple of people to be on the perimeter of their outside of their buildings. So that's mainly how it's been done so far by the few school districts. We're in those stages where we're trying to get everyone's opinion, we respect everybody's opinion, even those, that differ from maybe somebody else's on the boards here. So we're really trying to get a feel for what everybody wants in the community and get ideas rolling. There may be something that you just said that maybe we didn't think of, and maybe we can kick that around. But I think the thing here is, and I know there's no possible way we could actually have every scenario covered, right? Because we don't know, right? And every time, unfortunately, a tragedy occurs, we learn something from that, right? But the main thing we have here is preparedness, right? So that's what we have. And there was a woman, I forget who it was, forgive me, who was talking about the training with the, the police department. And they have, over time, from learning things also, have trimmed down their response time like 3 or 4 minutes, right? Because they used to not enter the building, wait for their emergency service, so people like to call SWAT, right? And then, then they would go in and engage with a plan. Then they went to like a diamond theory where there's four people that go in. But even waiting for 4 cops in Suffolk County could take a long time. Think about it. 6-7 minutes to get 4 guys together. And that's good time. So, now they've progressed to where they have just 2 guys going, right? And they're more vulnerable themselves, but the idea is now we have to neutralize the target, right? So the point is with considering, I think, armed guards is the fact that maybe they don't deter someone, because you're not always going to deter someone, right? I mean, we're living in an age now where people just walk up to a uniformed police officer and shoot them, right?
If somebody's dedicated to getting into a school, they almost certainly will succeed. It's just a matter of
Exactly, but
how
the
to
point
minimize
is,
fallout.
the 5 highest casualty rates, okay, occurred despite police showing up within 3 minutes. Think about that. Emergency services showed up in 3 minutes, and those were the highest casualty rates since 2000, right? So the point of thinking about all of this is, can somebody neutralize the target? And that's what it is. And obviously, we want to consider all the options, right? Any kind of collateral damage, as you said, and the training. Listen, no one's calling us experts, right? Right? A couple of guys that are retired from the job, as we like to say. Mike has his own security company. I do investigations now. I had the pleasure of working with the FBI, the State Department, and the Secret Service, and planning, presidential security details, as well as everybody from the UN. So we have a little insight into it, but we're just parents like everybody else here in the community, right? We're concerned about all the kids here and all the staff. So we just want to get a really good idea and make a really informed decision. And we're not going to do it like this. We're not. It's not. I just want to try to ease your mind a little bit, okay? And I know some people want this done now, but we can't do it that way. We have to study everything. We have to vet every possibility, and we really have to do it as a community to decide what to do.
And there are also steps to this. I mean, as well as, I always say that the students here, there's a lot of students here tonight, they're our source of information, as we like to call in the field. They're a source of information. They're on the ground. Our teachers are out there. They can see the issues, the possibility of a student, something going on in his life, something that's happening that needs to be brought to the attention. And I think we do a good job of this. We have a reporting mechanism in place. The students need to really come forward, because you see all these shootings, it came from the school itself. Very rare was an outsider that just came in. It was a former student, a student, but there were, again, you talk about, Parkwood, there were issues with this person. There's a lot of drop off. Unfortunately, this person wasn't taken care of mentally. Okay, and then that's what, again, the students of our school are our greatest sources of information. They're seeing what's going on day to day. There could be an issue with somebody in the school, a problem with a student, a fellow student, whatever it is, just out of concern. I'm not saying, oh, this guy had a video. If it brings that concern, if it raises that level, speak to somebody so we can take a look into that. Also, like I said, there's other ways that we need to approach this as well.
Right. I think a lot of the things that have been discussed, whether it's getting in and out of the buildings, possibly closed campus, reporting things, as Mr. Zotto was talking about, we need to undergo a culture change. There's no question about it. We certainly need to. We've been working on the mental health side of it and the socio-emotional well-being side of it for some years, and it's something that we're going to continue. But as both my colleagues here pointed out, this is certainly something that we are taking very seriously and are in the process of doing all the due diligence we can. Thank you very much. Okay, I thank all of you.
Just one of the slides Mrs. Burns put up, she mentioned the schools as a polling place. I know this has been an issue for a number of years, that it raises security concerns, people just walking in. But I believe that is the law, and it's a tough battle we're fighting. We may need the public's help. This might be a right time to try to push back and say, use the fire department, use the American Legion, use community centers instead of school district. The public's just walking in.
Yeah, so for some years, what happens is the Board of Elections engages in a contract with school districts every other year. And it's the kind of contract where it's not really, well, you can sign it if you want, if you will sign it. And we have been advocating for some time with the Board of Elections to move some of our polling places to other locations in West Islip that would not compromise our school buildings, because we cannot ask for identification, and sometimes people feel that they would like to tour the facility when they come to vote, or they may want to use a lavatory, and they are walking throughout the schools. Now, even for Tuesday's vote, we have moved the entrance solely to the back of the high school, the upper level of the high school. We'll protect some spots there for people that may need closer access, and for some of our senior citizens. But for the regular primaries, whether it be, and there's another federal primary actually coming up in June, our buildings are exposed. Mr. Geller and I met with all three of our local legislators, our Senator Boyle and Assemblyman Rea and Assemblywoman Pellegrino, back in March, and we expressed our concern about the fact that the buildings are so exposed on those days of primaries. Of course, we close on regular election day for the purpose of making sure that our students aren't in the buildings, but our staff is. So that's certainly something we can use your help on. You can help us out by contacting the Board of Elections and the commissioners involved and letting them know that you are really discontented with the fact that our school buildings are used for elections during school time. And we have no control over that, and we have no control over denying access. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, so I really want to thank all of you for coming out for this tonight. We do, of course, have a full agenda to go with at this point, but the level of discourse, I think, this evening has been tremendous. We really appreciate your input. And really, tremendous job. We thank all of you. And if somebody didn't feel comfortable standing up at the mic and wants to share, you certainly can email us. The board's email address is posted on the website. I think a lot of you know how to get in touch with us individually. Please feel free to do that as well, anytime. Thank you. Okay, so personnel, Mrs. Burns.
I think there's another thing that we should bring up aside,
okay, stand up.
Okay, Ann?
State your name and address for the record, please.
So something that I've been hearing, rumors about in our school district is the fact of cutting courses. So I've heard that Syracuse University courses have been considered to be cut, and also American Sign Language courses. And I think they're important parts of our school district.
Angela, I'm sorry. Is this about security?
No, I think it's another issue that.
Okay, so I'm going to have to ask you to wait till we have another public input portion, and you can, after we're done with the body of the agenda, and you can ask us about that. I apologize, but
And so you're aware, the woman who has spoken about the math, that is on the agenda for the evening, and that is the protocol, and that's why she could address it, but that's an item that's not on the agenda, so there's another public session for that purpose. Okay? No worries.
all right.
No worries.
Angela, please stay. We do want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. May I have a motion for the approval of the probationary appointment of Elisa Pilati, Assistant Superintendent for Business, effective July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2022.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Ms. Pilati joined us here this evening, so thank you so much. Congratulations. May I have a motion for the approval of the retirement of Jacqueline O'Connor, Special Education, effective July 1, 2018, after 33 years of service.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Jackie here tonight? Well, we certainly wish her well. Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of the probationary appointment of Donald Lettieri, lead guard, effective May 14, 2018.
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the probationary appointment of Pamela Rose, cafeteria aide, effective May 11, 2018.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the retirement of Dawn Lotta, part-time food service worker, effective June 9, 2018.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And we wish Dawn good health and success in her retirement. May I have a motion for the approval of the substitute custodians as listed in the backup.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I skipped one, I apologize, I'm going back. May I have a motion for the approval of the resignation of guard Michael Cacciati, effective May 25th, 2018.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of substitute food service workers as listed in your backup.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of substitute special education aid as listed in your backup.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of the adult education coordinator and secretary as listed in your backup for the 2018-19 school year.
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of Patricia Stack as coordinator of driver education for the 2018-19 school year.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of John Ruggiero as enrichment coordinator for the 2018-19 school year.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of the enrichment instructors for summer 2018 as listed in the backup.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of the program secretary for driver education and enrichment for the 2018-19 school year.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of the PSAT/SAT coordinator Dennis Adams for 2018-19.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion for the approval of the substitute teachers as listed in your backup.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And may I have a motion for the approval of the substitute teaching assistants as listed in the backup.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Curriculum update. Dr. Wu.
Okay, good evening. I will be very quick. We are in the midst of doing our AP and IB testing, and we have tried something new this school year. We are using Westbrook as a testing site. It gives us the ability to provide a quiet testing environment for our students, but also to bring them all in at the same time, so we're able to start on time and make a better environment for the students instead of being in the high school. We did have a couple that are remained in the high school due to computer access for the language lab, so we've had that, but it's been very successful, and we have one more week. And it's been a great effort working with our tenants here as well, so we really appreciate that. So that's been going well. But at this time, I'd like to request a motion for the approval of the course name changes, course revisions, new courses, and curriculum writing projects as listed in your backup.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And thank you. And I would also like to request a motion for the approval of the text resources for mathematics of the Singapore Math Series for the implementation in kindergarten through grade 2.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mahalik will discuss the meeting of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met on May 8, 2018. Committee members present were myself and Scott Brady. Board members in attendance were Steve Geller. Administrators present were Brian Burns, Superintendent, and William Duffy, Assistant Superintendent for Business. Others present were Debbie Falcon, our Treasurer, Mark Lompin, our Internal Claims Auditor. The purpose of the meeting is to review the warrants for the month and discussion of pertinent fiscal matters. The meeting came to order at 7:40 p.m. Treasurer's report, which is about school district of February 2018, was presented and accepted by the committee. Payroll summary report for February 2018 was presented and accepted by the committee. Financial statements for March 2018 and the financial statements for the period of 7/1/17 to 3/31/18 were presented. The internal claims audit report was presented and accepted by the committee. Assistant Manager Audit Trail for 3/24/18 to 4/30/18 was presented and accepted by the committee. We had the payroll certification for 4/6/18 and 4/20/18 was presented and accepted by the committee. We had the review of the warrants. We also reviewed the board agenda of finance items. We had the approval of budget transfers presented and accepted by the committee for submission to the board. We had the approval of donations. Vicious Cycle Donated a bicycle rack to open out school valued at $750. West Islip Baseball Booster Club donated a batting cage net that had a value of $3,737. We had approval of surplus. We had some health education textbooks for Teen Health Course 2. And we had approval of contracts. We had a multi-year service agreement for 501 projects effective 7/1/18 to 6/20/2021. We had the multi-year service agreement with 501 projects effective 8/1/18 to July 31st, 2023. ESOC's Joint Municipal Cooperative Building Program, 2018 to 2019. ESOC's contract for cooperative educational services for 2018 to 2019. And the Brentwood Union Free School District Health Services contract for 2017 and 18, which was at $2,131.52. The meeting was adjourned at 7:48 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalik. And Mr. O'Connor will discuss the meeting of the Education Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Geller. Good evening, everybody. The Education Committee met early this evening prior to the board meeting tonight. We met here at District Office, and the meeting was called to order at 7:15 p.m. We had a full house. The entire board was present, along with Superintendent Burns and Dr. Ruhlman. The committee reviewed an online homebound tutoring service called iTutor. iTutor provides one-to-one real-time tutoring to students for those who are unable to attend school. iTutor will enhance the district's offering to students and their families when we are unable to find homebound instructors for the district. We got to see a video of it, and it looks like an excellent service. We also discussed the mindfulness training. The district will continue the implementation of mindfulness training. All grade levels and departments will have the opportunity to attend one of the after-school professional development opportunities. Grade 3 will participate in an 8-week mindfulness program with weekly lessons taught by a master's level Mission B trained educator. Typical lessons include mindfulness and the brain, understanding neuroscience, being present, mindful listening, reacting versus responding, empathy, compassion, gratitude, and altruism. Current research indicates that immediate outcomes for this program include reduced stress, improved ability to manage stress, increased focus, improved ability to pay attention, focus, and concentrate, increased emotional intelligence, reduces impulsiveness, increased resilience, increases capacity to overcome challenges, and lastly, the board got to meet our newly appointed assistant superintendent, and we certainly look forward to working with you, and congratulate you. And the meeting was adjourned at 7:40 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. And Mr. Brady will discuss buildings and grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Geller. Good evening, everybody. The Buildings and Grounds Committee was held on May 8, 2018 in the district office, and the meeting was called to order immediately following the Finance Committee meeting. Some of the items discussed with the committee were solar PV panels on the new roofs that we are in the midst of getting in the district, and that would really just be at the beginning stages of some research and looking into those options for us. We had a bond update for the Phase 2, A, B, and C. Basically had a punch list and close out at the stage. And at the beginning of, we have some Phase 3 items, big ticket items scheduled for the summer. And those are for the high school and middle school roofs. We also have the Udall the Udall track. We got the turf fields, ceiling issues, and I think that was it for that phase. Also, we discussed, as early tonight, Mrs. Burns alluded to, the Paul J. Blue playground security issue with the proximity to the main road there. So we did go ahead and all agreed to provide the security slot for the fencing there. And then we'll eventually look into kind of going around to the other side and maybe some soft skate. That was one of the options we were looking into. We also discussed the building classroom phone systems and communications. There were, at the time, only 2 of the phones in the entire district, communication phones, were not working. This does on occasion happen. Once the buildings and ground people are notified of the issue, They immediately respond to that and see if just a swap out of the phone would do the trick. If not, then the company has to be notified, and then we're kind of at their mercy. But it usually takes around 5 days to 10 days maybe for them to show up and fix the problem. But many times it's just a matter of switching out the phone, which we can take care of rather quickly. Also, for committee information, we discussed the security vestibules in Phase 4 for summer of 2019, the project submissions. With the security vestibule final submission is being completed. We were hoping to get that in a lot faster, but as Mr. Burns again alluded to, we are clearly at the mercy of the State Education Department. Phase 4 projects are being designed, drawn, and specified for submittal to NICED in August. Both submissions will be made with expedited review, okay? So we're looking to go that avenue. The planetarium, a complete renovation will be done in the summer of 2019, but preparatory work that will allow elementary school visits will be explored in the upcoming year. New projectors and a dome will be included. Security measures. Obviously, we had a lot to talk about security, and we always have a lot to talk about security, and this is one of those things that overlap into our security committee and buildings and grounds, which is usually the case. Various upgrades to security cameras are being explored, including additional security cameras, improved camera management software, and that's what we talked about again tonight. We're always looking at the cameras and how we can improve on them. It's one of the things that we do at our security meetings with our building administrators. They know what's going on with their buildings, and we're constantly reviewing those things to see if they need any adjustments or any changes, and we always discuss those. So this is kind of, I'll use that word that everyone likes to use, but it's a fluid thing that we always have to be watching and trying to make changes as necessary. Okay, so we also have improved door access and card readers, a door monitoring system, the Lions Path security booth, blue lights at the primary entrance points to indicate lockout or lockdown status. We have visitor management software, additional door intercom modules at buildings. This would include the custodial door and the rear side doors. In addition, we have improved communications with law enforcement entities are being investigated, including Project Share and RAID 911. High school projects, we have a number of projects that are to be initiated at the high school, including conversion of the choral room to a machine room, and then from the conversion of the music offices to a new choral room in summer of 2019. And then we have the conversion of the second floor former bathroom to a storage room, installation of custom tables in the Mac lab, creation of a bistro design in Cafeteria C. I can't wait to see that. Conversion of the dance studio into an AV technology studio, construction of a split wall to create an office for the third assistant principal, which we're also looking forward to. And we have, for the summer of 2019, field and building access. Building and fields at Beach Street will be inaccessible at Udall. Building will be inaccessible, and the track, field, and tennis courts will be unavailable for use. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go through some temporary pains in order to make the necessary improvements that we need. The Barberry Field will be unavailable for use, as will be the High School Performing Arts Center and adjacent rooms. Due to the brick veneer work near the auditorium, the courtyard and the pool pump room, all exterior areas will be unavailable. All district camp, intramural, clinic activities are being coordinated with Mr. Haran, and community youth camps, leagues, and clinics activities will be provided access if and where possible. And that was it. The meeting was adjourned at 8:20 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Okay, so Mr. McGinnis returned from his whirlwind tour of Italy just in time to attend the meeting on special ed, preschool special ed, and he will let us know all about it.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Italy or about
Maybe both.
Italy was great. The committee met this morning, May 10th, in the district office. Committee members present, myself and Andrew Rosa, administrators present, Superintendent Burns, and Dr. Lewin, as well as Jean Downs. The meeting began at approximately 8 a.m. As usual, we discussed the CSE and CPSE reviews for the board. All was found to be in order. The annual review process is continuing and should get wrapped up shortly. We discussed the class placements, the upcoming class placement movement, as well as some student placements. And the meeting adjourned at approximately 8:20.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. And Mr. Zotto will discuss health and wellness.
The Health and Wellness Alliance meeting met on Tuesday, April 24, 2018. Members present were Tim Moran, Rhonda Pratt, Kristen Kearney, Nicole Paris, Arlene DeVoe, Marcel Cordell, Jessica Olsen-Hock, Sharon Kerrigan, Priscilla Olsen, Foyana Pedoni, Julia Canestra, Monica Fogarty, and Rachel Torelli. Fifth and sixth grade volleyball tournament went off without a hitch. 192 students attended. The newsletter was mailed out. It was mailed home in February. We discussed the color run for 2018, second annual event. The last event was great. Exploring a date in October at some point. The course map may need to be slightly altered due to possible construction on the high school Barberry Field. We had an iGeneration presentation, very informative and relevant. It was about community awareness of negative side effects of unrestricted social media and the use and its importance. The community is exploring strategies to minimize negative side effects of unrestricted use among students and community members. The committee approved a $150 gift card for Dr. Ron Nacera for his iGeneration presentation on April 6, 2018. Again, with the mindfulness presentation, this mission has been updated. We spoke about it earlier. The overview of the mindful instructor training was provided. The committee discussed the benefits of mindfulness training and ways to expose more students to its benefits. The Sounds of Silence is a 5K, 10K run. That's going to happen on May 12th. It's awareness of postpartum depression and anxiety. New Old Business, where celebration of education, Tuesday, May 15th. And a table for health and wellness will be requested. Also, our next meeting is May 16th at Paul J. Blue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zano. And Mrs. Duffy will discuss financial matters and business items.
All right, so treasurer's report, the balance in our accounts on January 31st was $52,742,144.43. And the balance in our accounts on February 28th was $46,831,188.74. Next item is budget transfers. We have a motion to approve general fund budget transfers, number 3480 to number 3489.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We have two donations. The first is a bicycle rack from Vicious Cycle for Oakwood School, value of $750. And the second is a batting cage net donated by West Islip Baseball Booster Club, value of $3,737. We have a motion to approve the donation.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We have a motion to surplus textbooks, the title being Teen Health Course 2. We have a motion.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve two contracts with Eastern Suffolk BOCES? Both are a multi-year service agreement for fiber wind projects. The first dating July 1st, 2018 to June 20th, 2021. And the second agreement is August 1st, 2018 to July 31st, 2023.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve the contract with Eastern Suffolk BOCES for the Joint Municipal Cooperative Bidding Program for the year 2018-2019?
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve the Eastern Suffolk BOCES contract for cooperative educational services for 2018-2019?
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve the 2017-18 contract with Brentwood School District for any services in the amount of $2,131.52?
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Duffy. Okay, so our first item is the approval of the reorg meeting on July 3rd, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. But I know that some of you take vacation and whatnot. Is everyone, or who is not available on that date, if anyone? You don't have to answer.
As long as it's not on my anniversary, I'm good. If I miss on my anniversary, I'm going to surely be killed.
Okay, is it on your anniversary? No. July 3rd. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the reorganization meeting date for July 3rd, 2018?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, there was a calendar of suggested regular meeting and planning session dates for 2018-2019. Any background? Any backup? Any comments? Okay, very good. And can I have a motion for the approval of the WISE and UPSEU Memoranda of Agreement regarding summer hours? Mr. Kennedy, you're back. So moved. Discussion? So this is just the summer hours that we've been going to for the secretarial unit and UPSEU unit, each of the last number of summers, and we're looking to do it again this year. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mrs. Burns?
Thank you, Mr. Geller. Just a couple of quick items. First of all, I would like to congratulate our music department and its faculty and our students who participate in being named one of the top 10 school districts for music education across the country. They name approximately 500 districts, and we were named this year, so congratulations.
I've been sitting here for years saying that we have the finest music department in public education, and somebody finally agreed with me. Long overdue, and congratulations.
I also would like to remind everyone that our budget vote is on Tuesday at the high school from 7 in the morning until 9 in the evening in the girls' gym. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to use only the back entrance in the interest of security. We will also be celebrating education on that day, and our district art show will take place as well, so we look forward to seeing everybody there. And finally, please note that our meeting locations for the next few months will be changed because of the work that will be performed, the bond work being performed throughout the district over the next few months. So Beach Street will not be accessible in July and August, nor will Udall for that matter. So our June meeting, as it usually is, will be held at the high school, which is air conditioned, and then our July and August meetings will be held at Bull J. Below. Okay, so we'll just have to continue to work our way through as our work is done. Next one.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Okay. Angelo, you've been very patient. The floor is yours.
All right, so as I said before, I want to discuss the courses that were being considered to be cut, such as American Sign Language and the Syracuse University courses that are offered at our Westside High School and ASL also offered in middle schools. From what I've heard, these courses are being considered to be cut, and I have a few reasons why they shouldn't be. So for the Syracuse University classes, one of the points was the fact that they're incredibly useful in preparing students for college level courses. And I know that the argument is that IB is too, but for SUPA, I believe that it makes students more open-minded and teaches students not to be like, oh, this is what you have to do on the test, and this is the questions that you should look forward to. For Syracuse classes like public affairs, we're learning about public policies, and it's the reason why students are able to come up to the stand and discuss things like school safety. It helps us in our future jobs, so if someone wants a government job in public policy, there's Syracuse classes that are offered that prepare us for these future jobs or internships. And for ASL, I know that it's very helpful for me. I've been taking it for 6 years, and I'm getting the seal of literacy this year, hopefully. And the important things to note for ASL is that it's an eye-opener to deaf culture, something that's not very well known here in the world. We don't know much about deaf culture, and the course is very well at teaching what deaf culture is all about. It is amongst the most popular language in America. It's used very widely around the country, and I think if we cut it, it would be just very focused. An event that is hosted by our ASL Level 4 classes, ASL Idol, is something that is very well known in the deaf community. We're organization, which is an organization that helps deaf people all around the world in getting education and equal opportunities for education. I know this year we raised about the same amount, I'm not sure the exact, but I'm sure the organization donated to. But there's also college level credits that are offered at higher levels right now, taking a course through Delphi, which gives some college level credits. And the seal by literacy is also something to know, so you can get the New York State seal by literacy. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Angela, for bringing that up. I do want to talk a little bit about, how do we decide what courses should be made in our course syllabus and what we're offering. And we really believe that there needs to be a wide range of different opportunities and that we are fulfilling the needs of all our students and their interests by looking at some of those things. So it is a little disturbing about, when you say about the rumors and about what you're hearing, but I will let you know that as far as super goes, what we have done is when there's a case, when we're looking at any course, actually, it doesn't have to be super, what we're looking at, we want to see about the enrollment. So we've always not, maybe we've offered something, but if we don't get enough enrollment for it, and our number is 15, we need at least 15 students to run a class, so we would not offer it. So when we see something over time, we may say, okay, so there's not the interest in there might be something else. And so then that's where we might cut a course. So I do think there was one super course. I just don't remember which one it was. I do think it was in the social studies department, but it's been in the last 2 years we haven't been able to run it, so we eliminated that. If you look in the course selection book, we are keeping ASL, as you know. You're taking one of our new ASL courses. We put that in for the first year this year so we could encourage that zero by literacy. So we have no intention of eliminating ASL as the program as it is right now. Right now we do have, due to maybe declining enrollment or maybe more interest in some other opportunities, we're not doing courses, but we don't have as much enrollment as we've had in previous years. And that's been a trend that we've been seeing. So at this point, ASL, we're continually thinking about that, but also the super courses, right, what we looked at is, do we have enough match? So there was an opportunity where we discussed about adding a different course, but we felt that, when you add a course, you have to think about, are you going to pull from another area? So it needs to be something that's going to be different. So if you're going to have, like you said, public affairs, and you offer something that's very similar to it, what you'll do is draw away from public affairs. And so what we're doing, we wouldn't offer something similar, we would want to do something to enhance that. So it's really based on enrollment, on student interests. And like I said, as you can see, we're offering these courses next school year. So nothing was cut.
Okay, so we're not cutting anything that we've been offering?
Correct.
In terms of super
Nothing
or
that
ASL?
No,
Okay.
we did not cut anything. We're not cutting, and as like I said, as we added, the Adelphi, the 5th level, because that was something that we could not offer that seal by literacy to ASL students last year, and we realized that and put that in.
But I will tell you that either ASL 2 or 3, I don't remember, the honors in the Regents level, they were very low enrolled, so we collapsed the section, but we're certainly offering the section. Means that they combined.
My question is, is there enough opportunity for the classes to be promoted, like our students being brought aware that these classes are offered and that they're very important to
Well, everybody has a choice, right? Everybody looks at what we have to offer and they choose when they're making their schedule. I mean, you chose, right? You knew it was offered. When did you find out it was offered?
But the fact that the class is there is known, but the opportunities that it holds and all the aspects of the class are probably unknown to the students that just
I think people take into a lot of considerations when they're choosing their language. When you're choosing, if you're going to think foreign language such as traditionally Spanish or Italian, you might want to look at where you're going to go to college and what that college or what that type of college is going to require. So I have 2 girls that one took Spanish, one took ASL. They're both going to 2 different types of schools, but we kind of looked at that to see, what path they were going to be on. So that's something that really goes into the decision-making process when deciding what subject you're going to study. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, because you mentioned IB, and a lot of times IB gets pitted against SUPA or AP or so have you. When we brought IB into the school district, one of the biggest concerns was, is it going to, take the place of AP or SUPA or other courses where you can go and get college credit? And overwhelmingly, the community at that time, while they agreed that IB was a great thing to bring into the school, they did not want to lose the opportunity for students to take these other courses. So we're not eliminating anything. We really are not. It really depends on what students enroll and what they want to study. And that's where we're going to put our resources. That's our job, to put our resources where the students want to be and study. And that's really what it comes down to.
And so our guidance counselors, this is one of their functions is to make the kids aware of all the various offerings. So that's in terms of promoting it. That's where it's supposed to come from. And as Mrs. LaRosa says, really, the courses you take, it's very personal. Some of the college offerings to the IB may be right for one student, and the AP might be better for another student. They're all great. Colleges love them. And, we are very committed to continuing to offer as wide a diversity as we can. Thank you. Robin? Oh, sorry.
Did you call me?
I did.
My name is Robin Muller. I have a high school senior who's graduating, and I also wanted to address you about ASL. I want to thank you with all of my heart for the education she's received. She's completely fluent in ASL. She goes into the deaf community any chance she can get. When we went to, she was invited to RIT. She was having a hockey game, and they invited her to a free event, and she met a girl who's deaf. And they plan on being roommates. They have become best friends. She signs with technology with her every day. I expressed my concerns that I have a 6th grader, and I was shocked that she had 1 full marking period of Spanish and 1 full quarter of Italian. And then I received a letter to pick, what does she want next year? Spanish, Italian, or ASL, which none of the children were exposed to. So I'm pleading to you that somehow that be included in the 6th grade curriculum, that they're exposed to all 3 options. Tricia has been volunteering both at Open Up and Paul J. Blue. She's working with 4th graders at Open Up and 2nd graders at Paul J. Blue. I have parents come to me and say, oh my God, this is amazing. My kids come home with such excitement, and they're teaching their families all the sign language that they're learning, which is just an extra. And they really get it, and they love it. And I have 5 grandchildren in the district who will be coming up, and it's just so important to me that we keep the program growing, and if they could explore it as 6th graders, I think the demand would increase. I've heard from some parents that they have children who are profoundly hard of hearing, and they're going to be mainstreamed. If our kids could communicate with them, it would just be phenomenal. It would just be so phenomenal. And I just want to thank you, because it's just an amazing program that's there. And I would love to see it continue growing and not kind of scaling back if there's a higher enrollment from when you go to 7th grade. I've had parents approach me that their child took either Spanish or Italian and they didn't do well. And now there's no ASL 1 level in 9th grade, so they don't get a do-over. They don't get to pick ASL, which they might really excel at.
We actually started discussing these little gaps and holes that, are in there. So I think it's something that we need to continue to talk about.
I just want
We
you to know
recognize
how this
that-
has impacted our lives.
I understand.
It's,
We also
there's
looked at-
5 of our graduating seniors are going into fields related to ASL. And the teachers, most especially Maria Tinsky and Jen Colonna, they are just incredible. You were acknowledging your kids had the Spanish teacher. And that's how I feel, the pride that I have from those 2 teachers that have reached through to my child. And she's ready to go into the world. She's been interpreting for a 15-year-old for a year now. It's just amazing. And if we could give that opportunity to the kids coming up in our district, I thank you.
Thanks.
Good.
You gonna sign it? Congratulations on your RIT acceptance, girl.
Mrs. Johnson?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, as always, for your dedication to our school system. I am Julie Johnson. I have 4 children in the school district in 3 schools, and I'm here for the planetarium. My middle school children, well, one is in elementary, one is in middle school, they didn't get a chance to visit the planetarium. My older children did. And I spoke to Steve and Dr. Rulin recently at a PTA meeting, so I'm bringing it to your attention here. Is it possible to get next year the 8th graders, maybe 7th and 6th, but definitely the 8th for the next 3 years to visit the planetarium so they don't miss out on visiting? Because they don't get an opportunity again unless they take an elective in high school.
So, as we spoke, that was not something that was really on my radar when we made our proposals, but that is definitely something that I am working with Mr. Taylor, who is our Director of Science, about seeing how we can find those natural ways of, certainly through the curriculum, about supporting that, because it is a great opportunity for our students, and we really want to make sure that everyone does have that opportunity.
All right,
So
great.
we are working on it.
That's awesome. And then my second little bit of a concern, which I wasn't aware of, so I've been trying to figure out what the policy is in West Islip. My daughter recently gave blood at the high school, but I did not know she was giving blood because she was told at 17 she doesn't have to tell her parents. Which is, I happened to, before I was a mom, work in a blood lab for many, many years. And I would have liked to have known that she was giving blood on that day, because after school she works or whatever, and everybody reacts to it differently. It was the first time she's ever given. Is that the school policy? I mean, I think Liz said...
I'll call you back tomorrow. I will look into that.
Okay.
You know, Ms. Johnson, I had the same conversation with Mark. He came home, he said he'd given blood, and I was like,
what?
And yeah, I was like, huh? They didn't call me, you didn't need my authorization. So it's an excellent question.
Okay. I'm not opposed or anything like that, just
Yeah, you'd like
would have liked to have known.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Nicolette Petro? Did I get it? Petro?
You said right the first time.
Okay. Somebody out there was trying to confuse me.
My name is Nicolette, and I am also a senior at West High School. And when I first was in middle school, as Trish's mom said, I was not given the opportunity for ASL to try it as a language. I didn't even know it was an option for me. So when I was a 7th grader, I took Italian. My mom tried to get me to the sign language, and I was like, I don't know anything about it, so I took Italian. I was terrible at Italian. I hated the language. I just kind of didn't click with me. And And I had a friend who was taking sign language, and they started teaching me like the alphabet and words that I just wanted to know. And when I learned I could transfer when I got into high school, I did it, and I fell in love with the language, and now I'm going for interpreting. So I feel like that option, as Trish's mom said, should be open to all students in 6th grade and through their entire high school career. And I had also heard something about that they are mixing the honors and the Regents classes. I feel like that might not be the best thing, only because I feel like when you have Regents students and honor students in the same class together, they are now, the Regents students, if they're trying to go at the honors level, the Regents students are going to fall behind. If you're going at the Regents level, the honor students are going to get bored, and they're just not going to be learning at their full potential. And me being an honor student and being in there for this year, not being able to get my seal of biology because I only took Italian in middle school, I feel like everyone should kind of have the equal opportunity for that.
Thank you. Well, I do want to thank everybody. I think this has been a really good meeting all the way around. A lot of great input both during the security session and just now. So we appreciate it. I'd like a motion to adjourn to executive session where we will discuss personnel, negotiations, and litigation. After a 10-minute break, the board will adjourn. At the conclusion of the executive session, the board will reconvene the public session in the district office boardroom to consider any items for which a vote is required. Of course, members of the public are welcome to attend the public session after the executive session.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So if any of you guys need stuff signed,